Hi friends, in this tutorial we will see the difference between a simple text or a simple string and the byte string. So what I did was that, so the thing is that I was asked by one of my students what is the difference between a simple string and a byte string. So I thought maybe I should also create a few tutorials out people out there who have some confusion or they're confused about the difference between simple strings and byte strings. It can help them understand that, because there are things that there are some similarities between them, but there are also some differences. So what I did was that in the previous couple of tutorials I covered those similarities between simple strings, byte strings, and byte arrays. What I will do in this tutorial is that I will cover the differences. So let's get started. Now let me open the terminal. Let's go to Python 3 and let's open another tab. Let's say Python 3. So in the first tab, what we do is that, let's say we want to create a variable. Let's call it byte string, and let's say that it's a byte string and we have something like a b c d f g h i. So if we do something like byte string, you can see that there is this b, which stands for bytes, and then there's a b c d f g h i. If you want to do the same thing, we can do it in simple strings. So if we do something like a b c d f g h i and we do a string, you can see that these are the same. However, there is no b because it's a simple string, not a byte string. Now let's say what we want to do is that we want to use regular expressions. So how do you use regular expressions on byte strings? Now let me first do it in plain string. So let's import RE. Now let's say we want to split it using these commas. So what we have to do is that we are saying RE dot split, and what we are saying is that split it using the commas, and we are saying that do it using this string variable. So this is the RE module we imported in here. This is that one. We are saying that use the split function of that module. What it does is that it splits it. It splits this string in here using what? Using this comma. So what it will do is that it will split it using these commas. And the end in here we are typing a string, which is the variable name which holds this string in here. So if we press enter, you can see that it has split it. Now there is ABC, DF, and GHI. So it has split it using these commas. Now let's say we want to do the same thing in here. So let's import the RE module and let's do RE split, and we say something like commas, and in here what we can do is that we can type in the name, which is byte, and this is byte string. So we are doing the same thing. We are saying you split it using the comma. We are passing in the variable, which is this one. However, if we press enter, we get an error. Cannot use a string pattern on byte-like object. Bytes-like object. So what it means is that it's a byte string, not a simple string. So what we have to do for this is that we have to prefix it with a b in here. So when we prefix it with a b, what it means is that it's a byte string, treat it as a byte. And if you press enter, you can see that this is ABC. Notice the b in front of it. This is DF and GHI. Notice there are b's, which stands for bytes, in front of all those three characters or these three mini strings. So this is how you can use the regular expression module when you are working with byte strings. So you have to remember, you have to type in this b, otherwise it wouldn't work. So another difference, so this, by the way, one thing I want to say is that this doesn't have to be a comma. This could also be something else, like a let's say a semicolon or an asterisk or anything. It doesn't matter. It could have been anything. So I'm just using commas for demonstration purposes. So in here, now let's create another. Let's go to this and let's create a. So we have already created a string. Now let's say we want to view what is the first character in this string. So what we do is that we type in the variable name and we type in 0. So it starts with 0. So it should be A. When we type in 0, it chooses A. When we type in 1, what it does is that it chooses B. So at the value 0, 1, what it does is that it shows us contents of this variable. So it always remember that in computer, when you're working with strings, the index always starts with 0. So A is 0, B is, sorry, in here, B is 1, C is 2, and that's how it is. Now, however, what if you do it in here? You would think that it works the same, but it doesn't. So if you do something like byte underscore string, and we say something like 0, now you can see that it shows us 97. If you do it 1, what it does is that it shows us 98. If you do 2, it shows us 99. So instead of showing us the numbers like it did in here, sorry, the characters, it shows us these integers, because indexing of the byte strings in Python, what it does is that it doesn't produce the individual characters, it produces integers. And another thing is that byte strings, what they do is that it doesn't, what you can do is that so let me type this again. Let me explain it using this. So if you do something like byte string, you can see that you get a B in front of it. What means is that it's a byte string. However, what if you want to view it in a simple string or plain text string, not a byte string? What you can do is that you can decode it. So in this case, let's type print, and we do something like byte string, and after that what we do is that we are saying decode it. So we are saying decode it using ASCII. So in here now, however, you can see that it has removed it. It's no longer a byte string, it is a simple plain text string, or it's a simple string A, B, C, D, F, and G, H, I. So what it does is that it decodes it using ASCII. It's no longer a byte string. So sometimes you might need to do this. Now another thing that I will show this using an example. I will create a file. So for this, what we have to do is that let's import. So what we do in here is that let's import the OS module. Import OS. For this demonstration, what we do is that let's create a file. So how do we do that? With open. Now what we do is that we type in a name. So in this case, we are giving it the name of Ninu. So in this case, what we do is that in Spanish there is a character N, and it has a tilde on top of it, and it's pronounced like ni. So what we can do is that in here, what is that? The Unicode character for this is the \x and then F1. So what it does is that, let me just finish typing it first. And what we can do is that we're saying f dot write something like hello buddy. Yeah, sorry, I forgot this as if 12. So now, however, if you do something like this, now notice this. If I do os.list dir, so look at this carefully. I created this file Ninu. In here, I'm using Unicode characters, this \xf1. So in here, this is the file that I created, ninu.txt. Notice there is a tilde on top of n. So what this is that this \xf1, it is the Unicode character for this. So if you don't know how these Unicode characters work and how to decode it or how to work with this Unicode characters, what you can do is that I have created a video for it. You can watch it on my channel as well. So this is how it works with this when you are listing the directories. Now let's say you are listing the directories using bytes. Now notice this. Previously in here I just typed in a dot, which means that show me the contents of this. It shows it as simple strings. However, in here I'm saying show me the contents of this variable, this document, this directory using byte strings. Now notice this. Instead of getting a ninu.txt in here, we get this. So you see this? There are these many characters backslash xc3 backslash xb1, what it does is that it adds, when you're using the byte strings, what it does is that instead of showing you this simple string, it shows you all these things also. So that's why sometimes it might be a good idea to use plain text instead of bytes when you're doing things with the file system, because it might create these kind of problems. So these are some of the differences that you might face when you're working with byte strings and plain strings. As I mentioned in the beginning of the tutorial, what you could do is that in the previous two tutorials, what I did was that I covered the similarities between simple strings, byte strings, and byte arrays. In this tutorial, I covered some of the differences, and I hope you found it educative. If you have any questions, suggestions, or recommendations, feel free to put it in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.